Board meeting of Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. It's 7 p.m. We're meeting in person at 91 Sawyer Street, Wilcott Commons. You can also watch us virtually on Facebook live streaming on Cohasset 143 Cable TV. And there's a Zoom link on the backside of our agenda if you would like to join in on Zoom. Our meetings are recorded. May I have a roll call, please? Mr. Grady?
Paul Grady, present.
David Brugg, present.
Julie Rollins, present.
Ellen Mar, present. And I believe Mr. Plex will be joining us remotely. And once he does, any votes we take will have to be by roll call vote. So at this point, I'd like to invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there any public comment? No public comment? Any?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Collins.
Okay. Mr. Collins, are you there?
He's here, but he's still muted.
Okay.
Yeah, Fran Collins, 404 South Main Street. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I talked to you last week about the proposed ban on leaf blowers and weed whackers. I had planned to be down there tonight, but unfortunately I've got a pretty bad case of pneumonia, so I can't go out. I wondered if you folks had a chance to discuss this issue at all since last week.
No, we have not met since last week, and we had already a rather full agenda regarding this topic. It's not on our agenda this week. Have you thought about doing your own citizens petition?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's my question right now. If you folks don't have time to get onto it, I've only got till the 18th of February to get this citizen petition put together. So in light of what your agendas are at this point, I think I'll just go ahead and proceed with that. As I said to you last week, there are 8 towns in the state right now that have a complete ban on them. We have 2 other towns that have partial bans from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And I think it's something that's long overdue. And since I spoke with you folks last week, apparently a lot of people were watching, and I've got a half a dozen phone calls from people and that are very much in favor of having this part of our noise ordinance put together. So I guess that's it for this evening. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll get a citizens petition together, and hopefully we have the I's dotted and T's crossed, and we can proceed.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Collins.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Be well.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff going around. So licenses and permits, Cohasset Rotary Club, Road Race by the Sea. Do we have, Mr. Plex has joined us at 7:04 p.m. Hello. I think we're going to have Mrs. Tarpey on the line. Yes. and Chief Quigley, maybe?
Chief's here as well.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Mrs. Tarpey.
Hello, Mrs. Marr. Happy birthday.
Oh. No, it's not today.
Yes, it is.
It's not today. Oh, I used to like you, Mrs. Tarpey. Okay, so on to business.
Yes.
Okay, so this is for the Cohasset Rotary Club, Road Race by the Sea, and Safe Harbor Walk.
Yes.
I can jump in. We've been working with Cohasset Rotary for years and years now. I think, is this the 50th, the 60th? I can't remember what you said, Lorraine.
50.
50, the big 50. Almost as old as Ellen apparently tonight.
That's right.
Trying to get you back in good graces, Lorraine.
It's going to take a lot more than that.
Oh boy.
We have a standing plan for this. It's very well worked out and thought out. There's plenty of volunteer help. And as the event draws a little bit closer, Lorraine's traffic people, they have people assigned to different sectors of the race. Their traffic people will work with my traffic people, and we'll have a safe event as always. And they also need an entertainment license, but we have no problem with this, and everybody is is on board.
Great. And I think Nicole, she spoke to us about the Safe Harbor Walk, which is part of this event as well.
Correct.
She spoke at our last meeting, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty low impact. So, we accommodate that.
Okay. All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
No, but I'll just say this is the signature event for Cohasset, and it's been around for so many years. And because of the date in April, it's a great tune-up for people for the Boston Marathon. So for those who don't necessarily run the race, you'll see people from the Boston Runners Clubs and many of the clubs around do it as a tune-up for the Boston Marathon because it's in early April. So hopefully it'll be another successful event and go without any hitches.
Yeah, and I know they're always looking for volunteers. Mrs. Charpy, you'll need another volunteer for registration. Someone might be busy that morning.
It better not be you.
So,
Are you going to be running it this year?
no, I always volunteer and
You
do the
always
registrations,
volunteer.
but maybe not this year.
Yes, you'll forgive me.
We'll see. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the event permit for the Cohasset Rotary Club Road Race by the Sea and Safe Harbor Walk on Sunday, April 12th?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor, roll call, please.
Paul Grady, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you. May I have a motion for a one-day entertainment license for the Cohasset Rotary Club Road Race by the Sea and Safe Harbor Walk for Sunday, April 12th, 2026?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Paul Grady, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
And Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you both very much. Chief, we'll see you a little bit later.
For sure.
Thank you
Good
to
night,
everyone.
Good night, Mrs. Tarpey.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Public Safety Facilities Committee appointments. So as everyone knows, a few weeks ago, we formalized the Public Safety Facilities Working Group into a fully charged committee. And as such, we have to go through the appointment process for all of these wonderful volunteers who've been working so hard already. So we're going to do this as one slate. And before I ask for motion, I see a few people here. Does anyone have any comments or want to say anything? No? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve Will Ashton, Donald Stasko, Melissa Brown, Dan Tarpey, Glenn Pratt, Doug McGregor, Richard Kinscherf, and Nathan Spada to the Public Safety Facilities Committee?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
All in favor, roll call, please.
Paul Grady, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you for your ongoing and continued service to this very important, critical, and worthwhile project for the town of Cohasset. Okay, next up is the Sewer Commission sewer plant update. Mr. Kearse?
Happy New Year.
Make sure that's on. If it's
Push the button, or what do I do?
Yeah, we'll see everything.
red on the top,
It'll
hold it down. Yeah, tap.
is it online?
So his is the only one that's on.
Yeah, mine's not.
No one else's lights are on.
Well,
Oh, Paul's is on.
figuratively,
One of your-
literally.
Mine's not working either.
Oh, you got one.
Okay.
All right, it's this one.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Paul Kears, 39 Old Coach Road. I am the vice chairman of the Sewer Commission. And for those who are not as familiar with the Sewer Commission, we have 3 elected sewer commissioners. Every year, one is elected to a 3-year term, alternating every year as one is up for re-election and one's the other 2 are remaining. Under that sewer commission, we have a sewer facility that is run by a company called Woodard and Curran. I believe they also do the water department. And we have a contract with them. In fact, we just extended our contract with them that runs 2 years. So we're in our second round of contract extensions with them. So this runs through 2027. Then we're only allowed one more 2-year extension to 2029. So that leaves roughly about 48 months before the contract ends. And then the town as a whole has to go out for bid to a new contractor. And they would be one that would bid on that as well.
That's state law.
State law. So the daily operations of our sewer facility is run by Woodard and Curran and their employees. And it's managed in conjunction with the Sewer Commission and Brian Joyce, the DPW/sewer. We run a $2.8 million budget on a regular basis. A good majority of that comes from user fees for the most part. And the additional fees that come in are from privilege and hookup fees from time to time as people build new homes or they're added to sewer, remodel a home, that type of thing. I will tell you that we just wrapped up a very comprehensive financial meeting. And this is probably the most comprehensive financial meeting we've had since Don Piet left. And under Michelle's leadership, I will tell you that it was in depth, and she insisted that it be in person. And, it was, of course, we're so used to Zoom now, but it made every difference in the world to be in person with the finance director, with the accounting staff, and going through what we had not been fully clear of over the last 3 to 4 years since Don Piet left. So I will tell you that this particular team with Michelle and Linda and Beth was a breath of fresh air. It absolutely was. The depth of knowledge behind the numbers was impeccable. We have so many chart of accounts that we don't know where money goes and why it's there and why it gets moved from one spot to another. And they didn't miss a beat. And when we explained where we were and what our numbers are, they collaborated with us and shared what they do and why they do it, and how we do things and what our needs are. And after that 2.5-hour meeting, we had a balanced budget that we all agreed to. So it was just unbelievable. I can't begin to tell you. So, with that, one of the things that came out of there is an agreement on shared services. And we're an enterprise fund. We do utilize employees in the town from time to time. And that's an area that's always been, we have 2 enterprise funds. So that's always been an area of, why are we being charged for something? And I'll tell you, when we worked on that with Beth, she was very comprehensive on how she calculated those shared services. But more importantly, under Michelle's guidance, she helped us understand what those services are and how they're employed throughout the town on a regular basis. So it wasn't a dispute of why we're being charged for something. It was, that makes sense to us. So now we have something in place, which is really a foundation of more of a formula of how we're going to calculate that moving forward. So there isn't any of this arbitrary movement of funds of why is this, why is that. So I'm telling you that moving forward is probably more exciting for us on a financial perspective than anything ever before. And in that financial meeting, I can tell you that right now in our retained earnings, we have just a little over $1 million in retained earnings. In addition to that, we have roughly about $450,000 to $500,000 in our capital stabilization fund. So we're in a good place financially as of today. And so with that said, when it comes to the sewer facility itself, over the last probably 36 months or so, we received 2 different grants in which Brian Joyce has headed that up with the data. And, one of them was looking at the physical facility and what does it mean if we have the 1,000-year storm or 100-year storm or the 2-day storm? What does that mean to the facility? What do we need to do? So it was a very comprehensive grant. That finished up about a year and a half ago. Then we just wrapped up another grant, which told us about the electrical side of it. Where does that lead us? What needs to be updated? What needs to be graded? And how is that going to be impacted as well? So now we took those 2 studies and kind of made a little bit of a summary of what does it all mean. And Woodard and Carton, they put together what they call an asset management plan, taking a lot of that information in place. And they said, okay, here's a plan for the sewer facility. Here are things, because it has aged, for the sake of argument, 20 years. What's going to need to be replaced immediately, down the road, and then down, a decade from now. Where are we going to be? So it was sticker shock when you first look at it and say, well, do you want to build a new plant or just keep placing and repairing as you go? So we had all kinds of philosophical discussions on that area. But most importantly, in that plan, we did highlight areas that need attendance. And so we have 2 paths that we work on at the Sewer Commission. One is corrective actions, and the second one is preventive actions. So the plan addresses both of those right out of the gate. And the short-term corrective actions are things that are failing now or are kind of running on its last leg. We better start planning for something. So I would say that our corrective actions right now are really what's happening this month and what's going to happen over the next 12 months. Forgetting calendar years. We kind of plan things based on the town's fiscal year when we have to go to town meeting to budget for capital expenses. So right now, we've had a problem that is systemic with membranes, and membranes are basically these curtains that are strips that come down into the tank that everything filters through. And there had been a change a number of years ago, roughly 6 years ago, in those membranes and how they're manufactured. It's a new brand, a new version of a membrane, which we purchased for $1 million. We have what's called 2 cassettes. And so basically we have 2 cassettes that drape down and everything filters through there, through the entire plant. And there's a daily operational, weekly operational area where, they're cleaned and refurbished throughout regular schedule of preventive maintenance. And those started to fail probably about 2 years ago. And we had one side that started really to break down and fail. We contacted the manufacturer to exercise our rights under the warranty. We came to a settlement on that warranty to replace one side. We were able to, those are about $500,000 a side. We able to negotiate a discount of somewhere around $300,000, I believe it was, on that particular side. So those came in and those were replaced about a year ago. While that was failing, that means the other side had to work twice as much. So the other side now is failing. So we've gotten basically 6 years out of that other side, 5 years out of the first side. So now we're at the point where we're going to have to purchase another side. So that's something that we're putting forward for the capital budget this year. So that'll be on the article, or an article to be able to do
Beyond the
that.
warranty.
Yeah, so we have 3 placeholders right now. in the warrant, and one of them is going to be for the immediate short-term need of membranes, and then we're also putting together the preventive action plan, which is spending maybe between $1 and $2 million on replacing and repairing equipment that we think is going to need to be replaced within 2027. So that's all part of this plan that we received, this asset management plan. So what's happening now is that we're working twice as hard at the facility because we did get the new membranes in, right? So now the other side is failing, which means the new membrane is now going to have to work, right, twice as hard. So it's one of those situations where if we can get a balance, is what we're trying to achieve. That's what we're going to do. One of the things we do have in our stabilization fund is each year we have tried to put money aside for just membrane replacements, which is where that 400 or so thousand came from. Under Michelle's guidance and Beth's planning, we decided that our plan now is to budget the 100,000 every year, no matter what happens, to be put that directly in and not have it as if we have it, we'll put it in second thought. So now it's going to be a fund, right? So it's going to be part of our spending every year now. It's just to put that money aside, so we don't have to keep running into that problem. So for us, I think that, like I said, that meeting was just a big eye opener for us to better understand how to budget this. The good news for us is that we have some debt that's going to be rolling off in about 48 months to somewhere around $800,000 to $900,000. And there had been some upgrades to the facility to the tune of, I think, 10 or 12 million that was done maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere along that range, where they replaced a lot of hard equipment in there. So that rolls off sometime around the end of 2030 to 2031, sometime in that time frame. So there'll be that reduction in our expenses of about 800,000 or 900,000 a year, which is huge for us. But we're not budgeting to keep spending at that rate. As we go through our plan, there are things that cost less. There might be some things that might cost more. But as we start to replace things, may allow something else to last longer, right? So that's kind of the situation that we've been in. And so for us, putting together that plan with Woodard and Kern has really worked out for us very, very well. So we've been doing a good job with the unknown for the last 3 years, keeping our budget in line. So that's been helping us, and having that cash on hand has helped us. We had $1.5 million in our retained earnings, and we used $500,000 of it to buy equipment, a new grit screw, and we go to put the grit screw in and find out the tank is cracked, so we had to go back for another half last year to get that replaced. So it's one of those things where once you lift the hood to fix one thing, you find something else that you need to address. So that's kind of where we are.
Great. Mr. Grady,
No, I think you guys are doing a great job, and thanks.
You're welcome.
Mr. Farag.
Thank you. I just had a question regarding the electrical. It's my understanding that in looking at the electrical, based upon a particular type of storm, that you're looking to raise the electrical from where it is now. Is that correct? Or tell me more about that.
Right. So that was part of the grant that we just received. I think it's the AMP grant, they called it. So that was the last grant we just did. That's just wrapped up. So that's telling us that things should be, I don't know, let's say 3 feet above sea level, which we're at. So we don't have a plan to the extent that we're addressing it within the next 12 months. It is now part of the asset management plan that we have. So as we start to replace things, they will.
That'll be one of those. Okay.
That would be one of those items, right? But there isn't a project that's going to run around the whole plant and just lift everything up all of a sudden.
And then the other question I had is, which goes into sort of long-term planning, is part of the plant is we have an agreement with Hull that we pump some of our capacity to Hull, and that's under agreement right now. And so when does that end, and when should negotiations start for the future for that?
So the Hull agreement that we have to pump a minimum of 25,000 gallons a day over there. The maximum is 80, unless there's a storm, we can go up to 120. And so we average, I think, between, I don't know what the number of gallons are, but dollar-wise in our budget, we send probably anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year to Hull, in dollars for transfer of wastewater. The contract that we have ends in April of 2028. And so that gives us about 26 months to negotiate a new contract with Hull. We attended a meeting last summer. Bill McGowan and I, Bill, the chairman of the sewer commission, and myself, and the prior town manager was in attendance, along with the town manager of Situate, the town manager of Hull, to discuss regional sewer. And part of their process for discussing regional sewer is they want to renegotiate the Hull Cohasset agreement with us as well, but they kind of wanted to tie that into what does it all mean together. And we weren't prepared at that time to delve into details on it. We were just trying to understand what is the regional sewer grant. It's a $300,000 grant over 3 or 4 years, in which each town put in $100,000 into the grant. Hull has already started it, and they're through phase 1 already. They're looking to get into phase 2, and they're looking for participation with Cohasset and Situate. But we haven't had any further meetings since then. It's our position, though, to keep the two separate. Because no matter what happens in a regional sewer situation, we still have to have a municipal agreement with Hull to pump to Hull. So that's our position on it.
Thank you. Further questions on this?
Ms. Rollins?
The older membrane that is in place right now, is it under warranty anymore, or is that expired?
It's working.
But it's failing. One of them's failing.
So yeah, it's failing to the extent that you can't leave it unattended.
Okay. Could the warranty come into play here? Because that sounds like something that isn't workable.
Right. So we've exercised the full warranty
Okay.
on first membrane. And the way right. So the way that the warranty worked is that the first year is 100% replacement. And then it scales from there. So by the time you get to the year 10, there's no funding to replace it.
Got it.
The issue we had too, though, is when we had to exercise our options on exercising the warrant, we had to also give up the warranty on the second half of getting replacements.
Okay.
So we had a whole new piece on the new half.
Okay. Thank you. That was my only question.
Mr. Plex?
Just want to thank you for helping us get ahead of these major capital items. Just appreciate all the transparency you provided.
So I have a question on the membranes, and it seems to me, and I know nothing about this, but it seems if one fails after 5 years and the second fails after 6 years, are there other vendors out there that are in the membrane business that?
There are. So as you know, Cohasset's unique, and we have a unique sewer system to process. So this was designed kind of as a custom plant. These membranes were spec'd in from a company called Viola 20 years ago. And so they, over time, changed their membrane materials or how they're made over time. And so there's, it's like anything else. You can't buy the same tire you had 20 years ago, and certainly not at the same price. So they change over time. There are other companies that do manufacture them, but we have a custom system. So we can't buy a membrane system off the shelf that will just snap in. So we pushed back kind of hard on that with some of the subject matter experts. And so we have one avenue where it may be possible to add a third tank outside the facility as opposed to inside the facility, to where we could lean on that third one while one's down to be cleaned, then move the other one in, that type of thing. But we're not sure if we have the footprint for that. We looked at other manufacturers and we couldn't come up with one that could just snap in. Some options out there is to spend capital on placing the bracket system that holds the membranes, and how the membranes work within our tanks, to switch to some other membrane manufacturer. So that would be kind of a retrofit situation that could be $1 million, $2 million. We wouldn't know until we looked into it, but it's something that under Michelle's guidance again, she had worked on this many, many years ago, and her suggestion was, well, while we're replacing these, it may be an opportunity for us to say, well, if we spend $2 million and go to a completely different hanging system of membranes, it may be worth it than spending $1 million every 6 years, right? So that's something that we're tasked to go look for. So, yeah, in her initial review of these back in the day, there were 3 vendors, I think, altogether that we looked at membranes for. Yeah, so she's got a history on it. Yeah.
She might have a little bit of background in that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the very comprehensive update and the state of Cohasset Sewer as of this moment. And anything you guys need, just, let us know.
Okay, great. And we meet twice a month. So if any of the board want to jump on a Zoom call with us, which is usually 9:30 in the morning, it usually goes to about 10:30. So if we've got some downtime, it's an opportunity to jump in. Just let us know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Up next, budget review. And I think we have Chief Quigley,
Yes.
right?
I think.
All set?
Chief, are you? Hi.
Hi, Rich, can you, I think you're gonna share this out?
Yep.
All right. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right.
So for everyone's benefit, this is the first review of the proposed FY27 police department budget. We'll do fire department next. It's only February 3rd, so there may be future iterations. Nothing's final till we vote the final budget.
Hey, I'll
So-
give you the, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'll give you the bottom line up front. This is the fiscal 27 request from the police department. The request is for $4,115,027. That is a 10.51% increase over last year's budget. And I'll get into what the drivers of that are a little bit later in this presentation. There's only about 6 slides. Next slide, Rich. So staffing wise, we're authorized for 21 full-time employees. That's sworn officers. That includes me, 21. We currently we're working with 18 right now, plus me, so 19. So we're down 2 people, and we recently lost one person a little less than a month ago. He resigned and went to another local area department, and he was here less than a year. He wasn't even off probation yet, but he moved on to a different PD. So of the 21 authorized people, I'm actually I'll actuals out that there's 18 officers plus me right now. And we have to hire 2. Of those 18 officers, we're working in a union environment here. There's two police unions. There's the patrol and sergeants union, and also the lieutenants union. The patrol and sergeants unit negotiated a contract, and they settled with the town back in December, actually November. So that is a settled contract. We have one unsettled contract, and that's lieutenants. So they're negotiating. I think they're close to settling. Some of the numbers here may change a little bit depending on what that final package is. But of the officers on the line, what we're working with now, we have 18 officers working what I call the line. Of those, several of them don't count towards minimum manning. The police contracts have a minimum manning or safe staffing section within the contract. So in that section says there has to be 3 uniformed officers working at all times. So of the 18 people we have, there's only actually 13 of them available to work shifts because the school resource officers do not count towards manning because they're tied up at the schools. The detectives do not count in manning, and the lieutenants do not count in manning. They all have different duties. So the people actually answering the calls in a marked car in uniform, there has to be three uniforms on the road at all times, 24 hours a day. And that's per contract. Next slide, Rich. So again, we're going to get into some of the drivers of why the budget is up. Calls for service for 2025, the calls for 2025, we saw an increase of 38.2% for 2025, and an overall increase of 161.13% over the past 9 years. In the annual calls chart that you see in the presentation here, in 2017, we answered about 9,300 calls. This last year, 2025, we answered 21,495 calls. It's a lot for a small department. I can tell you through firsthand experience every day, we're busy. And a lot of these calls are the types of calls we're dealing with. It's mental health calls, it's criminal complaints and arrests, it's motor vehicle calls, traffic, parking and accidents, and also medical calls. As you may have learned over the past several months when we're talking about a police station, the police department responds to every fire call. So every fire call, whether it's a medical or an actual fire, at least one or two officers, at least one officer, most of the time 2 officers are dispatched to that call. Next slide. These are just some of the numbers, statistical data for 2025. Again, 21,495 calls for service. We wrote 588 police reports. We had 160 arrests, investigated 130 crashes, and collected and stored 175 pieces of evidence. Parking, as you know, during the summer is a major issue. It's a quality of life issue. In Cohasset, we issued 1,143 parking tickets. We levied over $83,000 in fines. The town hall has collected about $50,500 in fines so far. The back end of the police department, you see officers working traffic details. That's a $500,000 endeavor. We're billing out about $500,000 a year and collecting that. So these are some of the things we get involved in. You see some of these pictures, incidents on the railway, harbor patrol, some of the different events and parades. And on the lower left, you see that's our prosecutor, Detective Dan Williams. He's actually attending court. We can attend a lot of court sessions via Zoom now, and we do that at 135 King Street. Next slide. The school resource officers, there are 2 of them now. Their salaries, that's a 4.2 increase, 4.2% increase over last year, and that's mostly contractual. That is contractual. This is who they take care of on the right. There's almost 1,400 students throughout the district, almost 300 staff members, and the total cost of that unit for 27 will be almost $202,000, and that number is what we call above the line. It's handled by the school department. Next slide. Excuse me. So when we talk about the key drivers, again, we're at a 10.51% increase from fiscal year 25. And this is a level service budget. One of the big factors that came into play is the South Shore Regional Emergency Communication Center. That the bill for that, we belong to that regional dispatch center with 4 other towns: Hingham, Norwell, Hull, and us. And they have a methodology where they figure out our piece of the pie, like how much we owe. In this last year, it went from fiscal 25 was $490,000 was our assessment. This year, going forward, it's $589,000 for 27. That's a typo. That it should say fiscal 27, $589,000. So it's over a 20% increase. Michelle and I have met multiple times with the SHREC board. She's part of the SHREC.
Awesome.
We just lost you, Bill.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Michelle and I have met multiple times with the SHREC board, which she is a member of the SHREC board. She's 25% of it. It's the town managers from each town. And, we wanted to know, why the assessment was up almost $100,000 last year. And I can tell you, we're definitely getting less Christmas cards this year. We've upset a lot of people. But, at the end of the day, she's only 25% of the vote. And, the board did agree. They appointed they appointed a committee of 4, the police chiefs, to look at the methodology that they've been using to assess the calls, to assess how they come to our assessment. And that I'm working on that report. I've been doing that on the side. I'm trying to figure out a more equitable way the towns are charged and avoid steep jumps like this. $100,000, no town. We are. Did you get me again?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, that's very difficult to absorb. And again, that's one of the drivers. So we are taking a hard look at that, and hopefully they adopt some of my recommendations when I present them.
You're gone again. Chief? Oh. Can you see him, Rich? Is he?
He's still connected to Zoom, but can't get anything else.
Okay. Oh, now you're back.
Okay, I'm just closing out some of these windows I have here. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, sorry. But we are looking at the way they run their assessments, and we're trying to come up with a better way. I'm going to present to the SHREC board in March, along with.
Yep. Gone again.
I think we're gonna have to affix a tin can and a hose to the police
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Trying.
String. Oh, goodness. Chief, we can't hear you if you're talking. Shall we move on? Or do you want to? Michelle, or,
Take it over.
yeah, I think so.
See where we have time. So as Chief Quigley said, we are presenting a new algorithm to SHREC in March to see if we can bring these costs down and level fund them for all communities. Because at the present time, Cohasset seems to be bearing the highest burden due to the number of calls. So that's challenging. This is actually being paid for in the shared budget, this year, so it's a shared resource throughout the town. So that's where the, $589,000 is being absorbed this year.
So say that again, in the shared budget or in the police department budget?
It's in the shared budget.
So it's not contributing to the requested increase?
The 4.1
Yeah,
it would be 4.7, if you will, if you add the 589,000.
okay.
As far as his current staffing model, I think he spoke of that from the onset. There's 19 staff members. He's funded for 21. As he stated, he had one leave the department, and he is looking to hire. So he's seeking an academy now to hire more resources.
I'm back. If you can hear me, I'm going to leave the video off. Save some bandwidth. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to leave the video off just to save that bandwidth. Sorry for that. So, back to the Shrek issues. We seem to be bearing the brunt of some of these increases, and we're looking at a new way of coming up with a way that the are figured. Beyond that, we're operating in a union environment, and it's sometimes it's challenging because we have contractual language that mandates staffing, how we staff the place, and so some of these things are just baked in. Some of the key takeaways that should be known is 78% of the police budget, over 78% is for personnel, and the rest goes to expenses. A lot of the expenses are state mandated, so we can't get around to these things. So true discretionary spending is a very small fraction of the budget, and it's largely unavoidable. Next slide. We took a look at the staffing, and again, the actual staffing is 19. That includes me, so it's really 18. It's 18 people on the line, and then when you take that 18, you subtract the 2 lieutenants, the detective, the 2 school resource officers, and the prosecutor half the time because he's tied up in court. So there's really only probably 13 and a half, 14 people working the line, and that causes structural overtime. In order to run the schedule that we run, which is a 4-on, 2-off schedule, and the officers work 37 and a half hours a week, and it's a 21-day schedule. So they work 4 days off, 4 days on, 2 days off, and it rotates through. And the reason for that 4 and 2 schedule is so officers get every 6 weeks, they get a weekend off, hopefully. So that's a very standard police schedule. But in order to run that schedule with 3 uniformed officers on at all times, you need a best practice would be 16 people working the line, working in uniform on the shift. So, like I think you heard before, we have 2 openings. We're working to hire 2 people. We lost someone last month, and that'll get us up to about 14 people working the line. We want to get closer to 16 at some point, and that'd be a true way to make a dent in overtime. But if people watching this look and say you have 21 officers, we really don't. You have to subtract myself, the lieutenants, the detectives, the school resource officers from that uniform patrol function, because it's not really effective to school resource officers that are teaching a class or a rad class or doing a demonstration. They can't leave to take care of an accident on 3A or handle a domestic. And the same with the detectives. If they're conducting a recorded interview or some type of investigation, they can't really be tied to a radio, and the lieutenants are helping me run things. They each handle a division, but they do. The detective lieutenant does carry a caseload. He does investigations, but he's not tied to the radio answering calls for service. Some of those 21,000 calls that we talked about. I'll leave it here while my microphone's still working, and Rich can take this down. But there's additional pages to this where I went through an exercise, basically showing you the work on how we a good way to staff, and how it will be more effective to have 16 officers on the line. But I'll entertain any questions. I'm sorry. I know.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Grady?
Just want to say thank you, Chief, for operating on less. And how soon do you hope to hire? And how soon would you like to get up to the optimum force?
May have lost it again.
Well, I think the optimum force of 16 of what he said on patrol, I mean, one more or two more are in the budget. Anything over than that would be a change in the budget.
Yeah, an ideal figure.
Yeah, I don't think the ideal figure is in this year's budget.
Sorry, I think I'm back. We're trying to get to that. To hire someone, there's a lot of, we have a full process that we have to go through to hire. But the real key is trying to sync up with that's available. It's hard to get an academy, sync this up with an academy that's available. Is 6 months, 12 weeks. So
still there?
Yeah.
Still there, Chief?
Yeah, I think he's having issues.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So if you had the number of officers that you say would cut down overtime, how much overtime do you think we'd lose if you had the force that the town technically demands?
Yeah. I think maybe we should table the Q&A for the police budget until we can get an opportunity where Chief isn't having connectivity
I
issues.
just changed the my Wi-Fi connection. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, we'll try that. It's once we have the proper number of people working the line, that 16 officers answering the calls, that's gonna, because right now any absence, whether when someone's on vacation or a sick day or a personal day or in court, it causes overtime. So right now, any absence has to be filled with overtime per the contract. So we have no bench, in other words. So if someone's out sick, we have to hire overtime. If someone's out sick and we have an extra person on the shift, like the fire department does, it provides a cushion, and we're not replacing every opening with overtime.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Mr. Farag?
Thanks. I just had a few questions. So what is because last year when we tried to hire the 3 officers, that was to hopefully, even though it would be below what the level is right now, that was to hopefully start eating away at the overtime. And so I know we're so far into the year here in the budget, but even though one of those 3 has left, has there been any improvement in removing the overtime, or is it worse than it was last year? I guess is the question.
No, it's not. It's definitely not worse. But you have to also factor in, the new contract. So there's, anywhere from 3% to possibly 11 or 12%, depending on how what column you're in your seniority and your tenure. So that has to be factored in as well. And add to that, if one of the lieutenants takes an overtime shift, they are not cheap dates. They're $100 an hour on overtime. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's no real, I can't give you a definitive answer. The best case scenario is a junior patrolman takes the overtime. If there's overtime, if someone, like I said, one of the lieutenants takes it, it could be, at least twice as much would be to pay a patrol officer. just because of their rank. And again, a lot of this is driven by union contract, and it's very difficult to get around.
And so the amount of that we have of the police force and the model that we use with the 4-2, how does that compare to other towns of like size, like Cohasset, and budget wise as well?
It's hard to say because I don't know what their contracts are. The contracts are very nuanced. The Cohasset, police patrol officers contract is very good. It provides, minimum manning staffing, which the town agreed to, and it's been that way for 35 years that I know of. And again, 3 people in uniform isn't excessive, but we have school resource. They're not minimum manning, nor should they be. So we hired 3 people right last year, but one of those positions went to cover the SRO that we sent to Deer Hill and Osgood. So that brings us down to 2. Now we lost 1. So we're down to really the net was 1 hire at the end of the day. Plus they're in training for 9 months, 26 weeks in the academy, 12 weeks in field training. So they don't count towards manning, during that 9 months. So to realize the benefits, it takes time to get your return on investment, I guess is the best way to put it.
And regarding the Shrek, the increase, is that due to the reallocation based upon calls, or is that because of the contract with the dispatchers, or what's your insight as to what's driving the 20% increase of the Shrek?
It's a combination of those two. It's whatever contract, we have no say in this at all. Whatever their contract is with the public safety dispatchers that work out of the Shrek, as well as the call volume is being driven. Our increased calls are costing us money.
Yeah. And how long have we had this model? Because we used to have dispatchers way back when. How many years has it been that we've been in the Shrek, if you can remember?
Yeah, it was, we moved over there in 2011, 2012.
2011, yeah, about 15 years.
It was going to save us money.
That's what I want to bring up is that, when we get these models, and I know it's way in our rear view mirror, but the enticement is that it's going to save the town money. But the thing is once you're in the boat, you're in for the ride. And then to change that model can either be obtrusive or obstructionist or impossible in some cases. So I think as a town, when we look to change models and do things, we have to be very careful and not be enticed that, oh, look, it's going to save us money in the first year because they give you a teaser rate, just like a mortgage. So it's so I think that needs to be looked at, even though it has been a number of years. But certainly the Shrek has to be investigated, and hopefully some savings will be realized there.
Again, I've been working on a different model. I even reached out to UMass Boston and spoke to someone in the mathematics department, the chair of the mathematics department, to I just wanted to pick her brain and figure out a way to possibly weight the calls, because a motor vehicle stop, less labor on the part of the dispatch goes into a motor vehicle stop than a structure fire. So is there a way to weight this, almost scale the calls?
Yeah.
So if a town that has more structure fires would pay more. A town that has more animal calls would pay less. So I'm almost there. I'm just testing it right now. And again, Michelle and I have met multiple times with them, and we didn't make a lot of friends, that's for sure.
That battle will be ongoing. Yes.
Yeah, but all that said, we do get to reap the benefit of equipment grants through the regional dispatch centers. So they have buying power because they're buying millions of dollars in radio equipment. The MDTs, the mobile data terminals, and the cruisers. We've had access to public, portable radios at times. So there are some tangible benefits that that take items off of our capital budget, but at the end of the day, it's probably a wash.
Great, thank you.
You're experiencing $100,000 increase in 1 year.
Yeah, a lot. Ms. Rollins?
Nothing.
Mr. Plex?
You've answered most of the questions tonight, Chief, but just at a high level, if you had to boil down the 1 or 2 things that are really driving the increase that you're asking for this year, it sounds like it's Shrek and staffing up or I'm putting words in your mouth. Tell me what you think.
No, it's absolutely Shrek, and it is last year the IT budget. We were working out of a central IT budget. In other words, the IT department, Ron Menard, he was covering our website, the parking ticket machines, all the software solutions that we use in the police department for tracking incidents and time off management and stuff. That all lived in his budget. It was over $70,000, I believe $73,000. That was transferred to my budget. So that didn't help. And beyond that, the labor contracts. This is we're in the first year of a new contract. So we got a lot of decent language for the contract we eventually settled. It's never perfect. Neither side is always happy, but we were able to get some language that'll help us moving forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, I just have one thing I just want to clarify. The SROs are not within the school budget, at least historically. They've never been in the school budget. They're in the shared budget. The town actually supports the SROs, right?
That's correct. They're in the shared, which is supported by both the town and the school side.
Yeah, okay. And then I just want to kind of ground us on this overtime issue. If we look at FY24, overtime actual was $798,000. In FY25, it was $826,000. The budget for the year we're in was $500,000, and we are less than 50% spent in overtime relative to the budget, and we're a little bit more than halfway through the year. So although overtime is a big number, I think we should give props to the management of overtime and the hiring strategies of the police department to reduce it. Still a big number, but not as big as we historically have seen. The other thing I just wanted to comment on was the fact that as we were going through, sorry, I'm gonna have to go back to my other page with my number on it. The calls, I don't know where I wrote it down. The 21,000 calls annually break down to 58 calls a day, which break down to 2.5 calls an hour for 3 people to manage.
Correct.
That's
the
that's
paperwork
busy.
alone. There's not a day where lunch for someone is not interrupted. I see them running out the door every single day. It's the running joke. Like, they come in with their lunch and I say, "You think you'll make it today?" And they'll say, "We'll see, Chief." And inevitably they go out the door. It happened today. But it's not complaining, but it's the nature of the business. And the back end of all this is writing the reports. If you look at that, we wrote 588 reports. That's time consuming. And then of that 588 reports, 130 accidents, I think it was 100 and something accidents, 100 something arrests. It's all a lot of writing and time on the phone with the Department of Children and Families. If you a lot of these calls unfortunately involve children, and we have to we're mandated to notify DCF right away. And if it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you'll be on hold for a solid hour and a half, 2 hours before they even triage you.
Right.
So you don't dare hang up. It's like when you're on the phone with your bank, if you lose your space, you're screwed. You'll have to you have to start over. So it takes a person off the road. So the other sector officers take up the slack.
Right.
And one more.
And I'm just going to finish up here. So the other thing on the parking tickets issued, a return rate of 50,000 on 83. I used to be able to do that math in my head, but it's not that, it's not as good as it should be. And I don't know if the town has any mechanisms to step up collection on those parking tickets, and hopefully with stacking, we'll see some increase in that revenue. My other question is on the traffic details. When you say invoice 416,000, do you invoice the town for events like Veterans Day or the Memorial Day Parade or things like that? And you invoice it because that's processed but there's no expectation of collection? Or are these legitimate invoice traffic details that we were just not collecting on?
It's a paper shuffle for Memorial Day, the fireworks and things like that. It's for accounting purposes, really. So we're paying for it. At the end of the day, it's coming out of overtime for these smaller parades.
Okay,
An interesting thing you noted about the parking tickets. In the past 6 months, we've instituted a system where we're notifying. We sort of took this. This was part of a larger project where we took over the parking basically from the town manager's office about 1.5 years ago because it's a difficult thing to manage, and you really have to have the connections with the registry of motor vehicles. So now if someone doesn't pay it, it automatically flags with the registry, puts a hold on your registration and your driver's license. So we're starting to see these trickle in as people's plates expire, as the licenses expire. You can't renew things if you owe the town money. So you have to come in and pay it or appeal it. But either way, you get a disposition on those fines. And so we're doing things like that. We're really trying to leverage technology more than we ever have before, and we're trying to do that to save officer hours and admin hours. And as far as event billing, one of the things we really should look at is the fees we charge for events. It really was not really well thought out when the event process started more than 10 years ago. It's not, it's like $15 application fee, and half the time it gets waived by if it's a nonprofit or something. So there's no real hard and fast rules that I was able to find, but that probably should be something that we look at, because if you think about it, I'm here almost every week and there's a different event, and the entire summer fills up. Every weekend there's something going on, and there's some events that are for profit that they're using our roads, they're using our resources, they are paying for the details, but the town should get some type of benefit out of that.
okay. Yeah, I
Just the
think
work
that's a
that
great
goes in-
idea.
And just the work that goes into it from my staff. We're not, it takes time to plan these things out. Every one of these events nowadays has to be supported by an actual incident action plan. That's the procedure. With the state of the world nowadays, you have to there has to be an incident command system and an incident action plan in place that supports this incident in case something happens.
Okay. No, I think that's a great idea. And, if you want to get a volunteer from the select board to strategize with you on that, as a liaison, that would be great. And I just have, one question, not to be answered now, but can we look at on the traffic details, what is a paper pass through for overtime, and what are legitimate traffic detail invoices and that collection rate? Because there are some entities that hire traffic details that should be paying, and I would like to know that relationship.
Oh, we are with the new system we implemented when Betsy came over to the PD, Betsy Holly, my admin, our admin. We have a whole new system and a whole new way of billing, and the collection rate is about 100% now.
Okay.
We do very well, and she's like a dog with the bone.
Okay.
We also, as a fun fact, we also started taking credit cards. So you can pay for detail with your credit card using the Unipay system, and you can pay for any type of permits, gun permits, solicitors permits. You can use a credit card. So we're trying to make it really customer friendly, and we receive payment quicker.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thanks very much for the review, Chief.
Sorry about the technical problems.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the fire department budget review. Oh, sorry.
Don't worry.
Mr. Grady had a question.
I'll get it next time.
I'm right here, Paul. I didn't go anywhere. Go ahead. If you,
I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time, Chief. Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Wait, oh,
pull it down.
You have.
yeah, but I think I have to get my hand on it.
Side mic. There you go.
Good evening, members.
whatever.
I'm just gonna put my PowerPoint up. So to get started, we're waiting for Richard to put the PowerPoint up. Fire department budget for FY 27 request is $3,418,466. It's level funded for a staff of 24 line firefighters, chief, assistant chief, and a 5% reduction in expenses for FY.
Because that's not in the packet that we got.
Is it three? Oh, sorry. Yep. My mistake. Yep. $3,694,656. That's my mistake. Sorry. Reading the wrong. I was reading the salary line there.
Read the number you're actually.
Yeah. For the salaries. And it's broken down to three categories. It's total salaries, overtime, and expenses. And like I said, staff of 24 line firefighters and the chief position and the assistant chief. One thing Chief Quigley mentioned towards the end of his presentation, the admin. Chief Quigley and I share an admin assistant, and it comes out of his budget, not mine. So you'll see in our admin budget, I don't have an admin position for that. So, Rich, next. So admin salaries for a total of $317,040. Again, that's the chief and the assistant chief position. Assistant chief handles all fire prevention. He's the only position that we have that's days, Monday through Friday. And then he's also on call on nights and weekends, backfills me when I'm not available. Next slide, please. And then our operational staff, as you can see, 4 captains, paramedic, 4 lieutenant paramedics, 16 firefighter paramedics for $2.4 million request. The department is broken up into 4 groups. Each group has a captain, a lieutenant, and 4 firefighters. Right now, we are down 2 positions. We're hopefully planning to hire them shortly because we just had a new negotiations with the union. We've come out of civil service, and we're going to have our own hiring process, and we're going to be able to control it. And also, what's the process? Probationary process that we can control now. So under the civil service, we have to follow all their guidelines. Coming out of civil service, we have our own hiring process, our own probationary process, our own promotional process. And this was all bargained through with the union. And it's been a heavy lift, but it's the lift that we've had to do. We've also had to upgrade our rules and regs, and we've worked with the union. Megan has been very helpful, our HR director. The members of the bargaining unit for Local 2004 have been very helpful. Michelle, very helpful. Paul sat in a few of them early on, very, very helpful. And so there was a lot of work, a lot of heavy lift, but we got there, and we're just about almost there, waiting to dot a few I's and cross a few T's. And going forward, I think it's going to help the department move forward. Next. Overtime. One of the things, the big overtime request is $600,049 and $822. Sorry. Been sitting in the gallery so long. Yeah. But those are some of the drivers. Admin, callback, sick leave, bereavement leave, personal day leave, shift vacancy, professional development, and paramedic con ed and refreshing. So a couple of the big drivers there are callback.
Callback right now, we're requesting of that breakdown, $188,000 in callback and overtime. Shift leave, shift vacancy coverage, $140,000 in overtime for that. And then training, training is $110,000. That'll break down in the overtime expenses. Hopefully, if we can fill the two positions, help reduce some of our callback and some of our shift vacancies. Right now, we do have one member in the academy. He's graduating in the month. We have another member who graduated back in December, who's on completing his day's training. He's evaluating for his paramedic skills. And so hopefully he'll be coming on shift April, May or so. And then the gentleman coming out of the academy, same thing, hopefully be coming on shift in April or May. And that will help with the shift vacancies and the callback coverage. So we'll have two more people on shift, and then we'll still have the two openings that hopefully we can fill with our hiring process and get them an academy date and get them on shift. The academy takes 10 weeks. The Mass Fire Academy takes 10 weeks. The same thing. The only problem is trying to get an academy spot. There's only 3 academies in the state: Springfield, Stowe, Mass, and Bridgewater. And everyone wants to go to Bridgewater. Visa's closer. But we're in the same boat. Everyone else is hiring, and everyone else is trying to get into either Stowe or Bridgewater. So those are
Business idea.
yeah, it is. Well, there was only one academy. There was only one academy back when I got on 33 years ago. There was only one academy in the state, and it was at Stowe, Mass. So, and all the departments were trying to get their members in there. And now with 3, it's kind of helped. And then some of the bigger cities, Cambridge, who used to send members to the academy, they're doing their own academy class. Brockton does their own academy class. So it helps relieve the demand of the state academy. But still, all the other smaller departments like Cohasset and Hull and Weymouth and Danvers, they're all need to put their members through. Bridgewater need to put their members through an academy. Next, and then my expenses for FY27. As you can see in the first column with the numbers, $291,190. That was my initial ask for expenses. And then I was requested to take a 5% reduction, and I reduced it down by $15,000 to $276,190. As you can see, I can show you what items that were reduced in the expense budget. One thing is Chief Quigley also mentioned out earlier that some of our IT costs that the IT department handled for years has been moved over to our department. So prime example, we use a software called AmbuPro for our EMS report writing. That is now in our budget, in my budget, excuse me. Our electronic scheduling program, along with the vehicle checks, drug checks, that has now been moved into my budget. That was previously in IT's budget. So,
Would that be a contract?
yes. Yep. That's the reason why you've seen a big increase there. So, and everything else is pretty straightforward in my expenses. The expenses are up by approximately $9,000 from last year. So, and then final one, Rich, is my capital budget request. Replace our engine 3, which is a 2001 engine. NFPA standards is engine has fire apparatus 25 years service life. Engine 3 has come up on its service life. The recommendation is the first 10 to 15 years it serves as a front piece of apparatus for the community, and it did. And then it went to a reserve spot for the last 10 years, and so it's met its life expectancy, and it's time to replace. And they're not cheap to replace.
What's the lead time?
Lead time is about 3 years. Yeah.
Ambulance is 4.
Ambulance is 3 years too. Yeah. So we got a new ambulance. We're on order. They're starting, I think next week on the manufacture of it. So
That was approved last.
That was approved last year. Yeah, it was approved last year. Yep. So one of the things is if we get it passed through town meeting and all that, and we get a approval, we'll get a contract right away. We're just building out the same thing we have now for a piece of apparatus. No major changes.
So
Trying to keep everything standardized.
I know that this isn't a capital conversation, but since you're presenting it, you know, if the useful life is 25 years and it's been on the back end reserve for the last 10, and it's going to be okay to be on reserve for the next 3 years till a new one comes in.
Yeah.
If a new one was available tomorrow, would you still trade it in? Like, isn't there still useful life to it?
If we get one that's meets like piece of apparatus that meets how we operate, because we carry everything, we go out the door, we carry every single piece of tool that we can, along with 500 gallons of water, about 2,000 feet of hose, extrication equipment, you name it. So some of our trucks have to be a little bit custom, not fully custom, but custom to carry all the necessary equipment that we carry when we go out the door.
And this one is not.
No, the one, if we order one, will be. Engine 3 is now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's come up to its useful life expectancy.
Well, some would say I'm up to my useful life expectancy, but I think there's a lot more years left.
Well,
I'm just saying that, you know, because it's the useful life and obviously it's out of warranty. I just.
Well, it's the standard. It's the national standard for safety for the members and for the service we provide to the community.
Okay.
So that's what the standard is. Yeah. Ellen, you got any more years? You've got more than 25 years, don't you?
Even though it's your birthday.
I don't think so. And Michelle, is there scrap value? Like, what do we do with
So we're waiting on
engine?
appraisal. So they'll come in and appraise it and see what the value is for when we turn it in.
Okay.
Because we're not going to keep it. There's no need for trade-in value. There's no need to keep it. So,
All right.
yep.
Sorry to digress on that.
No. So I just wanted to let everyone know that's a big driver for the budget. But again, it's a capital request, but we next year is going to be even a bigger one. I won't get there yet, but stick a shock. I won't get there yet. So the other thing too, so talking about being a level service budget for calendar year 25, department had provided 2,291 calls of service. Of those, 729 were ambulance transports just by our ambulance. In mutual aid department, we had a total of 239 mutual aid calls, either aid given or received. We gave, on the EMS side of it, we received 127 mutual aid calls. We gave 74 mutual aid calls via the ambulance to our surrounding partners. And on the fire side of the house, we gave mutual aid fire service calls with 26, and we received 12 fire calls from our surrounding partners. So that's a breakdown of how we operate.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Oh.
Mr. Brady?
Well, one of the things, right, and then ambulance, as I talked about ambulance collections for fiscal, they do it in fiscal years. Last fiscal year, we collected $567,000 in ambulance revenue.
And how much was billed? Do you know?
Billed out was $600,000. So we had a collection rate of 94%.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah. Yep. So. Yep. So.
Thank you. Brady?
Oh, that was a cut and dried presentation. Thanks so much. Look forward to working with you to see it.
Thank you.
Mr. Farag?
Thank you. If you just repeat the total amount of calls you had, because I was taking it away.
Yep. So we had total calls of service, 2,291 calls of service.
Thank you. And as far as when you were talking about the hiring that you currently have 2 in the pipeline, is that the 2 we're missing, or is there 2 missing on top of that? I didn't catch that part.
2 missing. We have 2, one in the academy, one in completing their daily training, and then we still have 2 more openings that we're trying to fill. And
After that,
Yes, after that. But they're already in the budget too. So there's no additional, I won't be coming back to the board or to any other committee looking for additional funding for the two members.
And I know it's tough to look at, but if we were at the full amount that you applied for, what kind of decrease would we be looking at potentially in the overtime?
Hopefully I would say $100,000. It'd probably be saving us like 50,000 in callback and 50,000 in shift vacancy, roughly.
Thank you.
Ms. Rollins?
Nothing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Flex?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. I jumped in and asked my questions out of turn, so I have nothing further.
Oh, wow.
Shocking. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is, and I apologize, we're running a little behind. Harbor Committee update. Baumgarten here.
You got it. Awesome. It's moving fast. I do have there's a one pager.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
If you can have. Anticipating. Try to keep it on time.
Level 1 page.
Yep. Thank you. Actually, it's the other.
Okay. Double-sided.
Good evening, George Baumgarten, 260 Forest Avenue, and Chair of the Harbor Committee. So thank you for this time to meet with you guys. What I want to do today is just update on what our priorities are. We meet every other month is our scheduled meetings. We sometimes have in-between meetings. We met in January and identified and agreed on these priorities, which I'm going to walk through. Just on the front page, which is what we're showing, the priorities, I have to say, are not necessarily in priority order. They're just the ones we focus on. Harbor climate resilience has been a priority for us for several years. Just to bring you up to date, this past May, we had a public forum, which was very well attended. It was really focused on the opportunity for flooding and storm surge combined with a significant rainfall event. What would that do to Cohasset Harbor? We had a lot of citizens from the harbor area, particularly Black Horse Lane, Summer Street, Border Street, attending that, very interested, and they continue to be. Out of that, we, Harbor Committee, spurred working with the planning office to put forth a grant request, and that happened. That grant request happened. I'll get back to it. In the meantime, I think there was a huge rainfall event that we haven't seen in a while, and Brian Joyce came and presented to this group, I think last August, talking about what happened on 3A. And that's something that, believe it or not, the models that Coastal Zone Management is looking at. What happens when rainfall and storm surge hit? So that really, we've met with Brian, and that made a big impression on him, so to speak, of what happens when James Brook gets a huge amount of rainfall and it follows its way. Its outlet is the harbor. So we submitted that grant, or at least the planning office did. The grant wasn't awarded. There's actually pretty good several millions of dollars in support by the state of Massachusetts for coastal zone management grants. That being said, they're very popular. And I think maybe 17% of the overall applicants were awarded grants. We're in a good position. We've gotten a couple, but the competition's picking up. They've changed their process, moved it up. The grant that we submitted that did not get awarded, we have, particularly with the planning office, picked it back up, are making some changes to it that, with the help of Weston and Sampson and some of the consultants, some changes that the Coastal Zone Management Organization suggested, and it will be resubmitted with Harbor Committee review, with Brian Joyce review, with other review, with the hope of getting the grant. I wanted to, Rich, if you could just flip to the second page. we've shown this before. This is like the one-shot wonder. But what it's showing is 25 years from now, according to the modeling that has now been accepted by Coastal Zone Management, driven by Woods Hole Group, they show what the potential of a very high flood will be. Can be a little challenging because people haven't seen this in Cohasset. I haven't. Nobody has. But if the modeling is right on the climate change, sea level rise, what we're seeing is the potential for flooding all the way through Summer Street, Border Street, breaching the Cohasset Cove. Something I wanted to point out that's a little bit new in the context is if you see in the top right, the fire safety building is at the top off Elm Street. The context of that is in a significant flood potentially happening in the next 15 to 25 years and potentially happening as often as once a year, the police fire building as it currently is on Elm Street is not flooded itself, but it's marooned on both sides. It's marooned on the Atlantic Avenue side for sure. We already see that. It's also potentially marooned as you're heading to Fleming's, in the Village. And the FEMA flood studies do not show this. They're backwards looking. This is forwards looking based on modeling of climate change. So all I'm saying is the climate resilience point of view, the push to have a fire safety building on 3A is a good resilience step. We'll just say. I know there's a lot involved, but certainly from a climate resilience perspective, we're focusing on that, the infrastructure of the town, the same way the wastewater treatment plant is focusing on their issues. Same reasons. We are seeing this potential for flooding. It looks like we're making progress, even if we get a grant. The grants are a couple $100,000. They're really good because they help peel it, go one layer deep. The challenge is, we might not get them. It's hard to make progress without them, without the grants. And certainly the weather's not waiting for our grants.
Right.
And the climate's not waiting for our grants. So we're not raising the alarm, but we're all in this boat together that the potential for storm is happening and the grants and Cohasset's ability to deal with it, aren't necessarily keeping up. If a storm like this happens, it's hundreds of millions of dollars of insurance claims, certainly for individual homeowners in Cohasset, as well as big challenges for the infrastructure of Cohasset. So those are things I know you guys are aware of it. We're looking at it on Harbor Committee. Let's, if you flip back, Rich, if you could. The second one, and again, these are not necessarily in order, but some things we're focused on. Harbor Committee sponsored a rec survey, and among other things, people want more access to the harbor. Lori Gibbons actually came up with a great idea a year ago of extending the Parker Avenue dock 100 feet toward the sailing club. It's actually sort of unused water right now. Believe it or not, there's a space in Cohasset Harbor that's not particularly used. We're talking about that. There's still an outstanding issue from Lori's perspective of, does this pretty good plan, does it encroach on the mooring field? So there's a discussion that she is going to have with the Army Corps to figure that out. Potentially, I know we've talked about the funding for this. It is a recreational dock. It could potentially qualify for CPC funding. That's something that Lori's running with, but it's something that we as Harbor Committee, trying to make the harbor more accessible, we're focused on trying to support that any way we can. Item C, A, and B, it's sort of getting back to what the Harbor Committee is based on. It's the Municipal Harbor Plan that was developed. The newest one was developed over 4 to 5 years. It was approved in 2020. It has hundreds of different priorities in it. But a key one has been and will be the support of Cohasset's fishing fleet. And in particular, this is another project that Lori Gibbons is working on, and there has been some funding that's gone through town meeting, et cetera, but to build a conveyor belt so that the lobstermen who service their boats out of Government Island would have a conveyor belt to carry their hundreds and thousands of pounds of equipment up the dock. Rather, they would have a conveyor belt to do that. Today, they don't. They actually hand carry.
That's a bit, it's low tide.
And yeah, and they actually have to worry about the tide. This is something that is, let's just say, is a really important investment by Cohasset in the commercial fishing fleet. As Adam Donovan, who met with us a couple of weeks ago, he's a fisherman out of Cohasset. He explained that right now, by having a conveyor, that takes away a day of fishing. So it's a day they can't work, a day they can't earn revenue. It's a day that they have to work. If they have a conveyor belt, they would have a much higher proportion of days they can work versus days they have to service their boats and their equipment. What we were encouraged by with Adam, there's been a couple of new younger people who are working in the fishing in the lobster boats in Cohasset. That wasn't the case a year ago, but I don't know if that's a long-term trend, but we're happy to see that our fishing fleet of a few, continues to attract people who want to work in that industry. And we want to make it so Cohasset supports them well. Dredging multi-year plan is always on our list because it's a key part of operation of the harbor. I think we were last dredged 10 years ago. Dredging is something that absolutely happens every so often. And it depends. It can be driven by extreme storms that cause sandbars. But it is one of the things that is outstanding that we want to resolve, potentially with you, potentially with Michelle Leary, is we understand that the intermunicipal agreement was not clear on whether Scituate or Cohasset has responsibility for dredging, since the channel largely resides in Scituate town limits.
You just have to define what operations of the harbor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's not an urgent issue. Doesn't look like, at least based on where we are today, that it's an urgent issue. But when it is urgent, you need to act on it. You need to be in a position to move on it. So that's something that, we can work together as the parties. It could just be a discussion. The last priority, which is new to our list, is mostly to create awareness. It's probably not to do it this year, but the Harbor Master office that's at the top of Government Island is an older building. It's been there a long time. It's due for a reconstruction, due for an overhaul. And I know it's been discussed here. I think from a harbor committee point of view, we want to raise awareness of it so that over the course of next year, or, when Cohasset's in a position to handle priorities like that this is on the list. That's what we're doing.
That's great. Great. Mr. Grady, any questions?
No, just thanks so much, George, for that dedication. Seriously.
Thank you.
Mr. Parag?
Thank you for all your work. And I didn't watch the last Harbor Committee meeting when they set the priorities. And I think it's great. I think you're going for the low-hanging fruit first, regarding the docks and potentially the conveyor belt. Those are the exciting projects to happen. I think with the resiliency regarding the harbor, obviously more study is needed. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to setting a plan and then trying to cobble grant money together to employ it to help the resiliency of the harbor. And one of the positions that we don't want to be in as a town is, if there is those kind of storms that do come in, is that after the fact, when people are looking to then reconstruct or do things, well, it's not going to just affect Cohasset. It's going to affect every single coastal town from Salisbury going around Cape Cod and going back to Fall River. So if we do not do something preventative, after the fact, we will be in line with about 120 other towns looking to reconstruct or do things. And that will not be a pretty situation, because there's other harbors that are bigger than ours. There's other harbors that have, bigger fishing fleets, New Bedford, Fall River, Gloucester, places like that. Yeah. So we're a small town, and we will find out how small we are when that situation occurs. So by getting ahead of it, and being able to do the studies and then be able to do potential construction of different things that could help out in this situation. We want to be ahead of the curve and not behind it. And then the modeling that they're using, I would say, well, they've redone the FEMA maps, meaning the federal maps, which have been redone, which shows where there's flooding, and those were done by satellite. The Massachusetts ones are even more in depth than that. So when people, you can always quibble about modeling, but I would say it's about as accurate as we're going to get. And if people remember, I was very young at the time, but Hurricane Gloria, which was in the mid-'80s, when that came about, which is, I think, the last hurricane we had around here, parts of Atlantic Ave were just washed out for days, where people had to go from their houses in canoes to then get to Beach Street and then get picked up by people to come downtown. The power was out downtown for multiple days. So food and things were out. So I don't think a lot of people remember that, but that was a storm that happened, and a hurricane, of course, can happen again. So with all that said, and then finally the Harbor Master Office, I think that bringing it up, and then hopefully when the time comes, it'll be there, and then we can maybe flip a coin on whether there should be showers there or not, or maybe arm wrestle for it or whatever. But that'll be down the line. But to thank the Harbor Committee and everyone involved with it, and all the other people, the fishermen, all the dock and permittee owners down there, the Sailing Club and the Yacht Club and everyone else. And the final thing I would say is that I think we're a little bit lulled to sleep about the harbor, because there's a lot of things that affect the harbor that aren't up and running, that have been running in the past. So the restaurants being redone, of course, where Hugo's and Atlantic used to be. You have a potential bed and breakfast coming online. We have the redevelopment of Kimball's, where there's going to be residences and potential retail on the first floor. So the activity very soon in the next coming years is going to be a lot more regarding the harbor, not just the moorings in the harbor, but everything around it. So I think we're a little bit lulled to sleep on that right now because we don't see it, but that is coming online and will affect harbor and everything about it. So with all that being said, thank you very much for everyone on the Harbor Committee and all the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Ms. Rollins?
I just wanted to echo what Mr. Farag said, and thank you very much to you and the Harbor Committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Plex?
Thanks for the work. This is a great update.
Yep.
Sure.
Yes, thank you, George. I'm just gonna repeat what you said, because we do have members of our Cohasset Public Safety Facility Committee here, and perhaps others are listening. I was just struck by the fact that the facility on Elm Street, the present police fire facility on Elm Street, in the event of the storm, will be marooned.
It could be marooned based on the modeling, and let's say that the likelihood of that level of flood happening in the next 15 to 20 to 25 years is only going to increase, and it would block both exits from Elm Street through the village,
Right.
through Atlantic Avenue.
Which just begs to the importance of our work, and their work on 135 King Street for our new public safety
I think
building.
so.
So,
You can put a resilience wrapper around that. It absolutely plays to that.
and thank you. And Michelle, on the conveyor, I know that our town manager talked extensively about that conveyor going. I looked back at last year's town warrant for capital.
2 years old.
It's 2
years old.
It's been appropriated?
So I think $63,000 was appropriated for the conveyor at the time.
Yeah.
Of course, escalation has happened. They'll need additional funding when they're ready. Lori's working on getting another quote for the installation because it escalated over time. But we do have a majority of the funding set aside. We also may have additional funding left over from the Seaport Economic Council Award for Government Island and Parker Avenue.
Okay.
So we're in touch with the Seaport Economic Council to see if we can use that funding to fund the gap and get the conveyor going. So Lori's working all this in the background.
Okay.
And she should have an answer by next week.
Okay, excellent. Great, thank you. It just kind of begs the question to me, if we appropriated the money 2 years ago and it was ready to go, and this is rhetorical, why wasn't it done? I think when people work so hard to get the money from capital, the precious few dollars we have at capital, and they work hard to get it and they sell it and the town agrees with it, we ought to take action. And here we are sitting 2 years later and the world has gone upside down with tariffs and whatnot and labor costs. We really need to have a better mechanism to execute the things that we ask for. And that's just a personal statement for me on all capital items. So anyways, thank you very, very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience tonight.
Certainly. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, capital, speaking of which, so, Michelle, if you could just kind of give us a top line overview of what's going on.
Sure.
And then we can have time to study this, maybe not for our next meeting, but in 2 meetings after capital has done more vetting, but just kind of give us, we don't need to go through page by page.
So, high level, capital has asked that all departments come forth with a 10-year capital plan. As the case may be, some come forth with 10 years, some have 5 years, some only really have a picture into 1 year. But they're really looking for that comprehensive plan so we can have a better understanding of where the community is going to be with these large scale projects over a period of time. So for the capital request for FY27, for the general fund capital request, we're looking at requests that equal $4.2 million. And you'll see that number escalate over time. FY28, you're looking at 25 million, and then it dips back down, and then escalates again in FY30 at 10 million, and then it goes up from there. And the contributing factors to these large ebbs and flows are things like the MSBA middle high school feasibility study for the schools in FY27. That's a large contributor in FY27 for approximately $1.7 million. The district-wide security enhancements for the schools, the bus lease, those are the largest contributing numbers for the schools. Police, their car replacement program is the largest number for them. And fire, as Chief Dockery stated, they're looking for an engine and the replacement cost is $1.2 million. DPW has a large ask this year and it's for a street sweeper at $300,000. And recreation's contributing factors to get that back Sawyer Street parking lot paved and striped for $120,000. So in FY27, those are the largest capital requests. Unfortunately, the $4.2 million is going to be faced with a lot of scrutiny since there's only $2.3 million to allocate requests this year. So capital budget is going through all the requests with a fine-tooth comb to see what's needed, what can be pushed off. And there's a lot of talk about deferred maintenance in town, and we have to make sure that we're not deferring maintenance that's absolutely necessary. And you had talked a little bit about the useful life of the engine and some of our assets. And, you know, we may need to start talking about pushing those assets beyond their useful life slightly just to accommodate some of these requests. High level, we have an asset management tool that facilities had populated years ago. We pulled down all the data from that so we can send it over to capital budgets where they can see all the assets within our town buildings and when in fact the assets will expire. So then we can load that into the capital plan as well, and we'll have a better picture moving forward for the next 10 years of what our requests are going to be. High level, if you want to dive into all the requests, they're here. I think the large items, of course, that we're faced with are the public safety building, which would be police headquarters. You're looking at Elm Street. The MSBA for the school department is a large request. The Harbor Master building is another substantial request. And then, of course, you know, eventually maybe a new school, but these are all things that we're faced with.
You mentioned water department,
So the water and sewer department are enterprise funds. I have them here.
Okay.
At the bottom. I didn't list out their actual requests. I'm happy to provide that data to you. as both water and sewer have communicated, they all have this comprehensive capital plan.
Yeah.
If you look at the water enterprise fund, you'll see this large number, and I think it's in FY 32 of $35 million for a new plant. Whether that's gonna happen in FY 32, we don't know. It's not a hard, fast number, but they really populated the entire plan out 10 years and what's absolutely necessary. And same with sewer. Sewer, their main requests are in FY 27. I think Mr. Keir spoke a lot about the membranes and some of the plant failures. And they're looking at substantial capital improvements this year. Of course, some can be funded by their retained earnings. Some will have to be funded by a borrowing.
Yeah. Okay.
But there are those large requests.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question on the feasibility study for MSBA at 1.7 million. A year ago? Was it special town meeting 24 or town meeting 25? We appropriated $400,000.
That was for money for an independent study by AI3, a feasibility study, an independent study. When that money was appropriated, I believe the understanding was that if the school was accepted into the MSBA program, they could use some of that information. However, they would still be required to go for a second feasibility study because the MSBA doesn't accept all of the work that is done by the independent company.
Right. So, and that was explained. So, but I guess my question is, out of the, and an answer for a later time, out of the $400,000 that was appropriated, how much of that, because that was never answered. It was like, well, there's a good chunk of this that we could use in the MSBA when, if and when the time comes. But, you know, someone's good chunk, my good chunk would be 300 out of 400,000. Someone else might be 100,000 out of 400,000. So if we could get that number, because it would be a shame if we aren't able to use a majority of that feasibility study that we were, told that we would be able to use, and now there's 1.7. My other question for that and for the library parking lot, are we looking at the stabilization funds? The
road and sidewalk stabilizations on the parking lot? Not at the present time.
Okay.
All the road work has been,
it's all been planned out.
it's all been planned out, for at least this year. So this would be a separate fund.
Okay. I'm just going to throw this out there as a thought for my colleagues here. The road and sidewalk fund is pretty specific to roads and sidewalks. And we've talked about parking lots, and we've talked a lot about the town parking lot, and the schools have their own whole parking lot, driveway, sidewalk issue going on. And perhaps not for FY 27, but for FY 28, should we look at the charge of the roads and sidewalks and start looking at the parking lots that the town is responsible for? And maybe, because we can increase the fund to incorporate parking lots, just as they catch up on the roads, it might be the next logical step for that. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I would say if we increase the funds.
Yeah.
Because it was case specific. I mean, if you
Yeah.
see the progress being made by roads and sidewalks, I think it shines brighter than a lot of what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's showing results.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it would have to be increased
Yes,
because it will put a burden on it that's just untenable.
I agree.
I think we need to chew on it, but I think that we need something clear for the sidewalk committee of how these fall in, because they're left to arm wrestle the schools or someone else because they're asking for funds, and so there's not a clear, bright line of what should be done with them. I think, yeah, if we do come up with a clear policy, then you would have to increase it. With the schools, I mean, like the high school parking lot, some of those parking lots up there, I mean, those should be done years ago, but they were punted because it was thought that they were going for the MSBA funds for potentially either a restoration or a new school. So it was put off. But those parking lots up there keep getting degraded, so we're kind of at the point where either that'll be a part of it or not.
Yeah.
But definitely with the town ones, we have to, I think those need to be in a plan somewhere because the town parking lot even is in rough shape. And that needs to be, repaved, relined, let alone a study done at some point in time regarding the parking patterns there. So yeah, I think all the above. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just pencil it in for, a future conversation, but it seems to be a good mechanism to get things done that need to get done. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
Good.
Where is Capital in their process of meeting with every department?
So Capital has a meeting on the agenda for Monday. And I think they're gonna complete their requests on Monday,
Okay.
so they'll be prepared to start discussing and voting in subsequent weeks.
Okay. And so that the audience knows, so when you say there's 4.2 million in requests and 2.1 to spend, that's all, that also the 2.1 also covers bond cost. So we would bond something like the fire engine. So it's not although the ask is 1.2, the actual annual cost isn't 1.2. Yeah.
One last thing,
Yep.
which helps, I think, make the point for what you were talking about with all the different town parking lots. If we push it down the line, we're not saving anything. If you look at the cost of pavement, oil, tar, those things, that trend line over a 20, 30-year period looks like a hockey stick. And it's not a hockey stick going down, it's one going up. So every year that we pass on not repaving some of these places, the next year it only costs more. And then you're not getting the use out of that asset. So I think sooner rather than later will be helpful.
Yep. Okay. Mr. Flex, anything from Capital?
No, just the same thing, that we've got a long list of things that we've been trying to defer for a long time, and it's catching up to us. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do.
Okay, great. And Michelle, I would just say too that you said Capital has asked every department for a 10-year capital plan. We have had an ongoing rolling 10-year capital plan. So I don't want the audience to think that, oh, we've never had one before. We've had one for several years and the priorities shift and change.
Right.
So I think it's really looking for the updates because what might have been a priority 5 years ago for the schools probably have now changed or
That's
what.
correct.
Yeah. And the RTF was never on a priority list and now it is as an example. So we've always had a 10-year plan,
As long as I've been here, we've had a
10-year plan. Yes. So it just rolls and it's fluid
Yes.
and it changes. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Next up is our facilities permit transfer station fee conversation, discussion vote. Michelle called me late this afternoon and asked if we would defer this to our next meeting as she and Brian Joyce are still working on some of the metrics to make a presentation to us. So we can move right on to 121 Jerusalem Road deed restriction discussion vote. If you want to, you can bring up two chairs. So
Great.
your name and address for the record and speak into the microphone.
Should I go first? Go ahead. Okay. Harry Judd, 121 Jerusalem Road.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. My name is Mark Taccio. I'm an attorney in Hingham. I represent Mr. Judd and Mr. Mal and the owners. Can I give you these packets just as
Sure.
it'll be easy to follow? It'll be easier to follow. We have a little land use and it's not so easily spoken about in the abstract.
Do you want me to introduce it or do you want to introduce the topic? Because a lot of the communication was with me. I filtered it out to the board, but I don't know if they have had as much.
That'd be great.
background on it.
I can fill in any gaps if
Okay.
like.
So in 2021, there was a piece of land up for auction that the town was in possession of 121 Jerusalem Road, and it went at auction for $4,000, and I believe purchased at that time, And at that time, it was for a driveway.
That's correct.
So, and at that time, there was a deed restriction.
I'm sorry, not to make, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
But it wasn't for the driveway at that time. Or was it for the driveway? It was just because, when it was surveyed, they said that we didn't own that piece of property.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it was adjacent to your parcel and so it made sense for you to purchase it.
Yes.
Okay. Whether it was for a driveway or not.
Didn't matter at that point,
Wasn't
yeah.
relevant. Okay. And at that time, there was a deed restriction on that parcel, limiting it, or limiting the use of it to put in a driveway. A driveway was acceptable, but a building was not.
Do you mind if I clarify?
Go ahead.
So
please.
as I understand it, this portion of their property has always functioned in the same way as one whole property, and the driveway and the retaining wall around the property has always been located on it since they purchased the property in the 90s. However, there were some questions as to who owned that portion. And once this parcel A, which I highlighted, was taken by the town under tax foreclosure, it then, to resolve this encroachment issue with Mr. Mallon and Mr. Judge, it made sense for them to purchase it at the auction, and they were sent the notice, and they purchased it for $4,000, subject to this restriction that they could maintain the improvements that are on it, the driveway and the retaining wall. At that time, it was, as I understand it from Mr. Judd, a bit of a fire sale, went quick. They weren't represented in that deal, and that restriction went through with the deed, and it's on the land today. They've gone to permit a garage, which would be connected to their existing dwelling, and a small portion of that garage would be on this parcel, which is restricted. So therefore, it cannot go before zoning because this is a title restriction, not something that's applicable to zoning. So with this restriction, it really just limits their ability to build an accessory garage. It's our request that this be released so that they can accommodate the single family home with a garage. They've had, issues with weather and being nearby with the ocean at the back, that having a garage would greatly benefit them. Additionally, this is just a prerequisite to going through that process. It's not to say that conservation or zoning would grant that relief. This is just something that we want to see if the select board is amenable to releasing. We've followed up with town council and circulated through the town departments and asked as to why this appeared on the transaction. Frankly, we couldn't find anybody that had information as to why. And that's not to say there isn't a reason, but we did try.
Go ahead.
I can empathize with you a little bit, but this really seems like a planning board issue. So, what is spelled out, you get it for $4,000, correct?
That's right, because there's no other bidders.
And it's waterfront, not bad there.
Well,
But my suggestion is I would think this is a planning issue and bring it up before the select board.
The only reason that we're before the select board is that, in our opinion, you folks are the only ones that can release this, because the restriction benefits the town of Cohasset. To actually release it and allow us to go forward before other boards, we would need to record a release by the select board, and that would require a vote.
I would think it'd be the opposite before you get the select board's approval. I think you'd want to get it from planning, Concom.
As in some sort of recommendation?
Yeah, and see what they have to say about it before you bring it up to the select board.
That's
just my thoughts.
If your direction would be maybe like an informal discussion before planning, but there's not really an application or any kind of relief that we can go before another department to follow this up with.
I don't know if they could file anything because they don't have power to effectuate what they're filing. So the same thing, if someone owns an easement on your land or whatever like that, you would need the permission of that other party. And in this case, we are that other party where we would have to release the restriction in order for them to take the next step. Like, that's the way I see it.
That's how we view it as well.
Our real estate.
Well, it's the owner's real estate, but the town.
It used to be.
The town has a restriction, put a deed restriction on it.
We don't know why.
And we don't know why. I've read through all of the emails. Michelle, do you have any insight on this?
anecdotally, all I've heard is that it's wetlands. There's marshland there, and that's why the restriction was put there. So no structures could be built. So to Mr. Grady's point, an informal discussion, maybe with Concom or one of the other boards, may be your best bet. Because if they say you can't build on it, removing the restriction really
Isn't gonna get you.
isn't gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the logic is to go through the select board to have it lifted, then at least clears pathways to then invest money to try to figure out ways to plan this. We've already put together an engineering plan and gone before the ZBA, and they turned us away. We withdrew it. So the restriction really is kind of the main threshold issue here.
But that's where
honest
the discussion comes in. That would give me personally some guidance as to what our other boards are saying. Concom, you know, I would recommend an informal discussion.
Okay.
And that would give this member some direction as to where to go with this.
Is page 2 the rendering of where the,
Page 2 is, yes, that's a draft civil plan that depicts the proposed garage. You can see it crosshatched on the left-hand side.
so it's not attached to the dwelling, but there is it looks like a walkway or,
Yeah, it's gonna be,
okay.
Yep.
Where is the, on the, I'm trying to read it because it's small. Where's the buffer zone delineations or because I see green lines, red lines, I can't.
I believe
isn't that
the green is the 50-foot.
Around the edge or around the house?
I believe within the retaining wall. I'm sorry, I can't answer that directly. I have a smaller version in front of me. Again, that would require significant relief from the Conservation Commission, and
It's already an existing driveway though.
that's correct.
So it's already. Already disturbed land.
You know, I think I concur with Mr. Grady and Ms. Leary that, you know, if you could have an informal conversation with planning and zoning about this, if they would be, you know, what if the select board did lift the deed restriction? Would this be something viable that we could go forward with? Would be helpful to us because we're not, you know, other than it's, you know, wetlands and marsh and backing up to Little Harbor. I'm not an expert. I don't know. And we can't figure, we don't know why the restriction was put on there to begin with. I suppose it has to be, Michelle, doesn't a deed restriction have to be, it's registered, it's on the deed, right? The restriction?
Correct.
But there's no affidavit in terms of why it's put on.
Yeah, is there an explanation
No.
to what?
No,
That's
okay,
crazy.
okay. All
And
right,
the
this-
green
Ben,
line,
that's
the
the-
green line is the buffer zone and it circles around the house and the house is non-conforming. So it's there. And to put up something new. So if that house is taken down, you probably couldn't put another house there again at some point, but that's what I'm getting at. If I started looking at the green lines and it circles around the property and it goes right where you want to put a garage, and that looks to me like the 50 because the wall and the retaining wall circle around. It's a small peninsula. So that's where I'd say I would get some direction from Concom and planning and then come back to the board. But that's me personally. I'm not speaking for the rest of
Yeah, no,
Understood. If the board's not inclined to make a decision tonight, if we could get some sort of formal referral to either planning or Concom, it can be difficult to get in front of it without.
I'm not going to do that. That's what I'm saying. If you go in, as we just recommending an informal discussion with planning and Concom, because if you were to ask me right now, I'd vote no.
no, but I think he's asking.
If you're asking me to.
If we're
Correct.
telling planning and Concom saying, hey, these folks came in front of us and we requested that they come before you in an inform, I think that's all you're asking for.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and here's our liaison to Concom, right?
That was Board of Health, but I could Concom as well. I was on Concom, but yeah, I mean,
Oh, you're in CPC, sorry.
We know, we work with Miss Pectel often, so I'm sure.
Yeah, between Michelle and I, we can alert them that you would like to appear before them to explain our concerns and reservations and what they might be inclined to do, not a commitment or anything like that, just to help us make a better decision.
That'd be great. The only reason I ask is sometimes it's hard when you don't have an application seeking some sort of relief to get on agenda. So if I could get some sort of direction, that'd be appreciated.
Well, I think if our,
I think we can get an opinion from our conservation agent and our town planner.
Yeah.
Before you even go to a committee.
okay,
Because they could say
Oh,
what
even better.
they would say.
Do that.
okay.
I just feel like we need more information before I
Yeah,
couldn't
all
make
right.
a decision about
All right.
this. I don't know enough about it.
So Ms. Leary will handle that with our conservation agent and our town planner. And then if they say, well, see if they can get before the committees, we'll make that introduction, so to speak.
Oh,
Great.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
waiting.
you all. Thank you all. Thank
You
you.
have to, if
The other stuff is that we table it or
So discussion vote, so we're not gonna vote.
no.
We put it there in case we wanted to vote, so it's just, we're not tabling it because we've already had the conversation, and if you come back to us, you come back to us, and I'll try to get you at the top of the agenda, so you don't have to wait all evening. Okay,
Fair enough. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Next up, town manager update.
This evening.
You have nothing this evening. Okay, Mr. Grady?
My one comment is happy birthday, Madam Chair, and I
for
hope you have
God's
a great evening and a great day tomorrow, and it's a wonderful
Wow.
night. Happy birthday.
Week.
Yeah.
I don't know what day it is.
Yes.
Have a great happy birthday week.
It's today.
Oh, is
So,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Happy birthday with us.
Wouldn't want to be anywhere else on a
Oh,
Tuesday night.
Something funny, I spent my birthday here with this group.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
honored.
So Mrs. Tarpey used to be my best friend since fourth grade.
Used to be your best friend.
But anyways, okay, Mr. Farag, any comments?
I just want to thank all the DPW and town workers and our
Mhm.
contractors for doing all the snow removal that happened. I know the last time we were here, Michelle had spoken as to all the efforts that they made. But I think, they did a good job based upon what they had. And I think hopefully for the future, it'll work out even better if we get a few more on the road. I think in the future, though, we're going to have to look at some of the equipment that they have and regarding the town parking lot, which we received some comments about. I think the whole town parking lot issue has to be looked at regarding getting a parking plan in the future. And especially with the status of how long people are there and why they're there. So I think that'll be something in the future that can be done, which could help out and relieve some of the pressure there. So, but with that being said, thank you all to the town departments for doing what they did, and keep on, because there's going to be more storms in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rollins?
Nothing.
Mr. Plex?
Happy 29th, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. You're my new favorite. So, okay. So, I just have a couple of quick comments. So, as everyone knows, we've hired Municipal Resources, Inc. to lead our town manager search. They will be having a public forum on Thursday, February 5th, here at Wilcott Commons at 6:30 p.m. During the day, they'll be meeting with department heads, talking to them about what they do, how they do it, how the organization runs, operational needs and leadership expectations for the next town manager. The forum, I said it will be here 6 to 7:30 in person and via Zoom. And 143 TV will be broadcasting the event as well. So my colleagues know MRI will be reaching out to each of us individually to talk about our thoughts, priorities, and expectations for the next town manager. And they will, let's see, I'm fumbling this. They'll continue to meet with community members over the next several weeks also to gather broader input and ensure community perspectives are incorporated into the recruitment process. So all of this will be leading to a leadership profile, which will be the benchmark for which applications are measured against. So I encourage everyone, if you can come here on Thursday night, and we will not be here as select board members. I think that makes it much more transparent and makes community members much more free to, feel free to express their opinions. Express your opinions about what you want in a town manager going forward. What are those qualities, characteristics that you think are important to take Cohasset, into the next 10 years, 15 years, 50 years. So without community participation, we can't do the best job that we can. So I also encourage everyone to watch select board meetings, capital budget meetings, advisory meetings, school committee meetings. We're in the thick of budget season, as it's been discussed. There are pressures on the operational budgets. We just heard there are pressures on the capital budget and the requests and needs and how we have to prioritize them. And we encourage everybody in the community to stay as informed as possible. So when you get to town meeting in May, you have as much information as possible. And so that's all I have. We do have a select board meeting Thursday night at 7 via Zoom, okay, to review and approve minutes. And that's the only topic on that agenda. All right, so we do have minutes to approve. We're going to do this. I guess I have to go one by one.
Yeah, I have to abstain from.
Okay, so you know the ones you have to abstain? Does everyone know the ones they have to abstain from? Because I don't think I printed them all out.
I think they're in 2024. Were you all on board in 2024?
Okay, all right, so, all right, so I,
Only, I think there's maybe the 6-3 and 625, if I can remember.
yeah, okay, yes. No, we have March 11th. Okay,
It's not that for March.
so March 11th, 2024. They have a motion to approve March 11th, 2024, June 3rd, 2024, and June 25th, 2024.
So moved.
I think you're gonna have to break it up because I wasn't here in March, but I believe I was here on the 3rd and the 25th.
Oh, yeah. So sorry.
So you're gonna have to do the first one separate.
Okay,
The March one separate.
I take back that. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 11th, 2024?
So moved.
Mr. Grady moved it. May I have a second? Mr. Plex?
Second.
Thank you. And roll call. Mr. Grady?
Paul Grady, aye.
David
Chris Black,
Farag, sorry. I was gonna say David Farag, I abstain.
Okay. Mr. Plex?
Chris Plex, aye.
Ms. Rollins?
Julie Rollins, I abstain.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, so those are approved. Okay. June 3rd, 2024.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one. Right?
No, this was town meeting.
Oh, no, I wasn't there. Because the election was after that.
The election was
It the
after
week
that.
After, yeah.
Okay, so this is the same. So can I have a motion to approve June 3rd, 2024?
So moved.
May I have a second? Mr. Plex seconded it. I read his lips. Roll call. Mr. Grady?
Paul Grady, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye.
Chris
David
Plex, aye.
Farag, sorry, I keep stepping. David Farag, I abstain.
Julie Rollins, I abstain.
Okay.
Chris
So
Plex, aye.
And Chris Plex, aye. Okay. Okay. June, may I have a motion to approve June 25th, 2024?
So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Paul Grady, aye.
David Farag, aye.
Julie Rollins, abstain.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Great. Okay. We need to revote January 6th, 2026. There were some edits and corrections to it. Do we need to rescind the original vote? Or okay.
So I'll make a motion to rescind.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second to the motion to rescind?
Second?
No, you were absent.
Second.
Oh.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call.
Already I.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, I.
LMR, I.
Chris Plexus abstain.
Chris
And
Plex
Chris-
abstain.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the revised minutes of January 6, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Already I.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, I.
Ellen Mar, aye.
Chris Plex abstain.
Perfect. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 20th, 2026?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Okay, roll call.
Already I.
David Frog abstain.
Julie Rollins, I.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. Great, thank you. There's
Thank
no
you, Ellen.
topics, so can I have a motion to adjourn at 9:21 PM?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, roll call?
Already I.
David Frog, aye.
Julie Rollins, I.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you very much, everybody.